Hey, everybody. So today we have the first of 3 conversations that we're going to be having that really look at people who are working in helping people grow, helping people change, helping people heal from the bottom up. So taking body-centric approaches. So we're going to be talking to 3 amazing women. And today we're talking to the first of those amazing women, who is Ahdab. So here we go. This one. So we have with us tonight Ahdab Badr. And, I was thinking about this, and we were talking about this before we started. And it's very hard to put what she does and how she works into words, because and that's really what we're exploring tonight in many ways. So I think it might be better if you just try for us. What do you do?
That's a very good question. I had actually Dina back in Egypt. She was lying on the massage table and she's like, okay, so listen, we have to get this right. What is it that you do? Like, we need to brainstorm this, because it is quite, it's more of a facilitation, a learning experience of the body. So basically, it's body work, and it's in the form of a massage session. But what comes with it is a holistic approach of what is happening in your whole system, what is happening in your livelihood. So, how do you feel? How does that how does that feel in your body? How does that feel in your mind? What is it? What is the emotion that's accompanied to it? What is your history? What do you do in your life? And it's like bringing in together this beautiful puzzle of your life and seeing how you can integrate it so that it is a connected, state. There's a unity between them. There's just this connection that's happening. And so in the session, we try to bring in together all of these different knots so that there isn't a disconnection. That could be in the form of a massage. It could then be also in the format of this conscious movement classes or workshops that are done, which are also this beautiful way of just sitting together in a group setting and coming, to explore the body in such a gentle, curious way. We lack this part, the curiosity. And so it facilitates that state of curiosity somehow. Now, putting it into one thing, I'm not sure I can really explain it, but yeah.
So I can give you an example, because I went to see you. So, and I went to see you for numerous things, but one was digestion, and I've struggled with constipation since I can remember, since I was 10, on and off. And I've done everything you could think of: mold cleanse, yeast cleanse, candida cleanse, done all this stuff. And yes, okay, I would go to the toilet and it would be, you'd feel like there's some system, but I would always go back. Always go back. And then I got into German New Medicine, which looks at the emotional and how can I say, root of it, which, yes, I actively work on, but it's hard. But no one actually went into actually working on my abdomen and areas around my abdomen to really release so much stuff that I actually saw a lot of good shit come out in a good way, But I don't think you go to a doctor or you go to a functional doctor, they'll give you supplements, they'll put you on diets, but no one will actually physically work on you. And I think that's also, and then even as you were working, you were like, oh, interesting. What's your relationship? I even forgot what you asked me. What's your relationship with anger? Or you asked me so many different questions. And I work a lot on myself, but putting the connection to different emotions, and also for me to be aware, but then also doing that release. And it's funny, when you did the release, a lot of emotions started coming up.
Exactly.
I was getting really irritable. I was getting really angry. I wanted to slap people. And I knew it was because of some energy being released.
Exactly.
So because I remember you telling me, when that energy gets released, see what's coming up for you. Like if you're feeling like that kind of energy, then you maybe need to punch a pillow. Maybe you need to do something intense. If you're feeling like, which I felt once a few days after that, I remember I felt very, I got into a very weird conversation with someone. So I felt very like that fight or flight. My stomach felt like, oh my God, I'm going to be abandoned, rejected. Like my mind created these stories. And it was funny, after at night, the issue ended. Remember, I
Yes,
told
I
you the issue
remember that.
ended. And I was like, but why am I feeling nervous? I kept like going into my body. I'm like, and this is very new for me, like going into the body and connecting. I'm used to, you tell me what to do. You give me an answer. So I'm like, oh my God, I already worked through this. Like the situation is handled. Like, why am I still feeling like a bear is going to come and eat me? And I'm like, okay, what do you need me to do? I actually just told my body, what do you need me to do? I'm lying down and I couldn't sleep. I just started rocking myself. It was
Yeah.
very
Cool.
weird. I was thinking, my husband's probably thinking something. I'm like, fuck him, you know? And I was just rocking myself. And I'm telling you, 5 minutes later, it just started releasing. I'm like, whoa, and this is good. And then I kept doing it again. Within 10, 15, I was in bed. I was like, but it is so hard. My mind kept telling me, go on Instagram, go do something, go fight with someone. It just didn't want to stay in the body. It just really didn't. I wanted to blame everyone, and until I was just like, fuck it. It's like 2 a.m. Like, halas, like I surrendered. I literally just had to, because I had no other choice.
Yeah.
But I find that so hard. And I feel I'm reaching this point in my life where I have to go back to myself. But it is hard, man. It is hard.
No, I get that.
And this is what we were talking about before we started tonight,
Yeah.
you know, like, and I'd be really interested to see what you're seeing, if you're seeing more people making, I suppose, endeavors to shift into a more embodied exploration. Because as a talk therapist, you know, what I see is a lot of people stuck in their heads and just this lack of embodied awareness and a disconnection to their natural selves, their natural movements, their natural world. Everything's, we've gotten literally too clever for our own good, you know? And so I'm really interested to what you're seeing. What, like, do you think, is there a shift in consciousness? Are people waking up more are they craving this more? Like, what are you noticing?
I mean, like Dana was saying, you know, when she started really getting into this journey of self-discovery, and she was able to then integrate the body's expression as an idea, not even a full practice. It's just the possibility that the body can also have an expression or would have a cue to give you, and is consistently giving you this cue. We're just really super disconnected from it. And we're also conditioned, and this is the most important thing, that we're really, really conditioned not to follow our body. Super. And there we would find a resistance when you need to break that loop and go back to your body. It's so not used to it. Yes, there is an innate feeling to that, but we're not used to it because we're very much used to the conditioning of use your head, think about it, reflect on it in the thinking head, and coming back to anyone else telling you what you need to do from a verbal, mental expression. So don't do this. Or, you know, someone would just completely, you know, undermine your physical symptoms or how you're feeling or your intuition. And they would just say, you know, like, yeah, that's nothing. But my gut feeling says, yeah, what is your gut feeling saying? You know, this is useless. This is ridiculous. Forget about it. Just do what I'm telling you. You know, there is no basis to this. But now you come and look at, you know, this idea of somatic work that we're now seeing a lot of, which is what you did, you know, started lulling your system, and you started really working, allowing your nervous system to give you that cue of, you know, I need a little bit of this lulling, this soothing mechanism for myself. Like, I know the situation has ended, but it's still stuck somewhere in my system and it needs a release of movement. A lot of people would come in and say, you know, and this was an example that we were talking about before we start, and it was about this client who had this idea that she understood herself because she was thinking about what it is to be powerful, what it is to be a giving person, and she completely forgot the emotional scales that she would go in, you know, feeling like hopeless, or she's giving because she wants something back and it's not coming in, or that feeling of unworthiness, and I need to really find my acceptance outside of myself, so I keep on doing, giving, And then I get very resentful, but I don't know what resentful feels like inside of my system. I know what to say about it.
Mm.
I can narrate very well about that situation. How dare you? After all I have done to you, this is what you do to me. You don't take care of me. After I've given you all of this, you've done this to me. And the idea is this speech is actually within yourself saying the same thing. Your body is telling you, you have not taken care of me. And you're just giving all of your energy outside of you. And now you lacked it. You lack that energy. And what you're doing is to hope to receive back that within yourself. And it's never going to happen.
Yeah, it's what I'm thinking of is like conditional love.
Exactly.
I'm loving my body conditionally.
Exactly.
So therefore, I'm going to experience the world that way. I'm going to give you love and do this all with the intention you have to give me this.
Exactly. And
so that's what's the give
As
and
within,
take.
so
Yeah.
without.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that, you know, when I had my session with you, what I came away with a lot, but one thing that really stuck to me, and if I had to put words around what I feel you're doing, it's like you're in there helping to heal that mind-body split, that Cartesian split, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where mind was associated with the masculine, body with the feminine. And then, you know, we have this kind of split that one is superior, rational, intelligent, powerful, and the other one is chaotic, to be ignored, you know, and is not the possessor of the language, you know,
Right.
and that's indicative of the larger system. So, you know, what I see you do, like you're teaching people really to get over that split. Is that something that you
It is.
consciously doing, or is
It is
just,
definitely.
yeah?
It's saying, you know, it's saying that first off, the healing process is going to happen through your day-to-day shifts in your awareness. And there is no longer that narrative that will be serving you to just dictate to yourself that story that you can keep on eating up in your head, but you're not feeding anything, you're not nourishing anything in your system. And so if I am consistently resentful and I'm consistently in that state of anger and I'm not expressing it in the right way that my body needs, meaning that I would have some sort of creative outlet, some movement, some expression, some acknowledgement, digging deeper into where is this coming from? How does that make me feel in my body? What is the sensation that's coming with it? Am I grinding my teeth? Am I creating a fist? Am I starting to feel like I'm really hot? And then what do I do with that? I just sit with it. And I stay seated silently in a chair, just eating up in my own emotional feelings.
Yeah.
And then I come in and I'm shocked that I have an autoimmune,
Yeah.
situation, or that my digestive system is no longer functioning in the way that it could, or I am having insomnia. And I just go about doing all the tests in the world. And then something comes up like autoimmune, and I go like, yeah, that's why. But,
Yeah.
but it wasn't because your body malfunctions, because it's not designed in the best way possible. It's because you are not listening to the signs that it's trying to say. You're not connecting to it in that way, and you're really, really suppressing it. And you know what's actually crazy is that, and you will really find Gabor Mate speaking about this in his book, you know, the myth of normal. He speaks about how kids with asthma, who are born with asthma and who have ADD and ADHD, and there is a possibility that it was actually the mother's situation during pregnancy time when she was anxious, she was suppressing, she was going through something, and it affected that child coming out. And of course, that person's own expression and what their conditioning is and how they, understood the world and how they got their belief system. And then you keep on living, and you hear about, those different health situations, and you start taking these medications, and really the answer is very simple. It's extremely complex to come into the realization, like we're saying, to come into the place and say, oh, I'm feeling this in my body. This is going to take work. It's going to take a lot of work. And then I say, okay, hi, body. This is what you're feeling. I'm not rejecting you. I'm not trying to stop it. I'm not trying to, shift it in the way I think in my head. I'm asking you, how can I honor you now? What is your expression? And my first expression is that I want to sway and lull and just, stroke my leg, for example. Or I feel like I'm so hopped up that I want to like run right now. I want to say something. I want to shout. I want to maybe sing, maybe dance it off. I want to cook. I want to, when people are going through their different survival situations, instinct, and we're in fight and flight, and the body wants to really regulate the body back, come back, activate the parasympathetic nervous system. It's trying to give you cues. And you'll find people wanting to organize. They would go like really obsessive in the way that they begin to organize things, for example. Or they're suddenly just sitting and watching TV for eternity, and they're always watching TV and escaping into that place, or picking a fight with someone, right? And if I stop and I watch this expression and say, okay, so this is an indication to a mode that I have actually gone into right now, and this is an autopilot. I can step out of it. I do have the mechanism to step out of it. And it really could be as simple as taking in a deep breath in and a full breath out and seeing my surrounding and noting my surrounding, knowing what's real for me right now. And then from that space, from that pause, from that integration, I have a choice to make. I can say, okay, I'm going to go running. Okay, I'm going to do this. That space between the stimulus and the response, I can create that place of choice. When I'm in autopilot, it's instant. I don't have that space. I have to run immediately into that, like this protective mechanism of survival. So, yeah, I mean.
So can I ask a question? Just
Yeah.
because I'm reflecting on something today, and this whole thing of survival is because, like you said, survival might be different for Briar than for me,
Yeah.
or for anyone. And I'll give you an example today, which then I was like, wow, this. So I have 2 young kids, and I was doing some work that I'm doing this course on the mother wound, and so I was just doing it, and then all of a sudden my kids come and interrupt me. And already this is work that I've been resisting. I don't need to do it. I'm busy. I don't know, whatever. And I was doing it, and then they kept interrupting me and whatever. And then my stomach, I started feeling again like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, whoa, I'm getting mad at them that they're bothering me and not giving me that free time. And then I start going into, I don't have free time. I don't have my own space. I started creating like my brain started going to very dark places. All because I couldn't get alone time to do whatever it is that I wanted to do. My nervous system really took it like, and I was like, wow, for something small like this, I think like, what is my brain? Is my brain really thinking that a bear is going to come and eat me?
Yeah.
And funny thing, in that part of the course, it said, ask yourself, get used to asking yourself every day these 3 questions a few times a day. And I can only remember one. What could you do for yourself right now? What feels right for yourself right now? Oh, I got so pissed at that question. I'm like, fuck you. and I just felt so like frazzled. Like my brain was like going places. Like, and I'm like, I don't know what feels. And I actually do know what feels right. At that moment, it was like, stop what you're doing and just chill the fuck out. Do nothing. No. My brain did not like do nothing. I kept trying to force myself to sit there, even though it's funny. There's the observer part of me that's watching this play. No. I want to do nothing. The right thing actually to do is just do nothing. It feels right to do nothing and just fuck it. Like you will get to it when you'll get to it. Oh, that other part was like, no, you're going to sit down here and you're going to do it. And I was just in that battle. And then I was just, I just couldn't take I couldn't take a breath.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I'm becoming more aware. I actually don't breathe. Like I hold my breath.
Yeah. And that's another mechanism that somewhere we learned that if we do hold the breath, then this is going to protect us. Because if I take a
Mm.
breath in and I open, then I could be very vulnerable to anything coming in. And if I exhale out, that's the same thing for me. And so I'd rather just hold my breath, compress everything, tense up everything, and maybe there I will have some protection. But if you do get into something like martial arts, for example, and you learn how to take a punch, and the first thing they say is do not resist the punch. You
Yeah.
take it, take it down to the floor, so you really open yourself to move it,
Yeah.
and then you create that sense of fluidity to find how you're going to protect yourself or strike back or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And this is something that is a part of your day-to-day, let's call it rewiring, rehabilitation back into teaching your nervous system, relearning and teaching again your nervous system the possibilities outside of that state, because it can get very, very, very comfortable in a very uncomfortable state.
Because I was fucking, like, I wanted to get out of it. I just felt, I don't know how. Like, I felt like I needed an intervention from outside of me to take me out. I don't know how to explain that.
It's super activating because I think we're living in a time where pain's been pathologized,
Yeah.
right? So in mental health, sadness and fear have been turned into pathologies to be feared, to be avoided at all costs.
Yeah.
Everything's about feel-goodism, you know, in
Yes.
that way, or there's something wrong with me. So the fear comes in about the fear, or the stress about the stress, or the sadness about the sadness. So we've got this kind of armoring up
Yep.
to things we can't control and this general rigidity, you know. So we work on like psychological flexibility as being, you know, the goal.
Yeah.
But then when you think about physically, you know, we see that armoring up like as a habit, right?
Exactly.
So people are holding this. I remember when a few years ago I was training on a mindfulness training for teachers in England, and the one of the guys on the training had been the guy that had brought meditation into the British Parliament. And he was talking about how he had been working with these kids this day. And we were talking about this. We were talking about the bottom-up processes and how you can cue your nervous system and cue your emotional system and cue your mental system from your body, and that you need to develop those as habits. You know, most of the time we're safe in the world, you know, and that's reality. And so he was explaining this to these kids. And then this 13-year-old kid goes, oh, yeah, that's called Fofbok, sir. And he's like, what? What's called what? And he goes, Fofbok, yeah, feet on floor, bum on chair.
Right.
And he's like, this kid had developed this habit of feet on floor, bum on chair, like just moving his consciousness, his attention there.
Exactly.
Wow.
As a way to cue the nervous system. It's intuitive when you feel it. Like, this is why meditation, you know, it's not a mental activity, it's a physical one.
For sure.
You know, 100%.
And you do get to train your physical body through beginning with yoga first to create that expansion to be able to sit there comfortably.
Yeah, if you think about in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, asana, which is what we think of as what yoga is, the yoga postures, which is just one branch of yoga, right?
Yeah.
Hatha yoga. But asana, which is the yoga positions, gets one sentence in the most ancient yogic text, which is the Yoga Sutras, and it is a steady and comfortable position.
Now, this is a very important thing.
Yeah,
See, because
that's where we aim.
even exactly. So we need to have the full spectrum of emotions. It's very important, and this is life. This is life. This is the living experience, to have the full spectrum of your emotions. The objective is, the learning is, how can I sit with it gently so that it does not disrupt my whole life? And when we come to learn that, let's say, for example, you were talking about this idea in the session where we say, so how are you feeling? Have you been feeling some anger lately, when we were working on the liver, for example? And you go like, yes, I have been volcanic and I can't stop. And it's like, well, I mean, your liver is really compressed. Like, it really needs to get some of that out. It's a physical It's a physical relationship. Fear and anger and worry and happiness and joy and sadness and grief. And these are all emotions that also stimulate, and they are responded in some of these organs in our body. And we see children, for example, and this is an example that I really love giving all the time. And when they're afraid, they tend to pee themselves. And that's because it's a way of release. So the kidney holds fear. And, you know, the partner of the kidney is the bladder. And so when the kidney is overworked, it wants to release to regulate the system. And it just says, urine, move it. And this is what happens when we're really, really, really cold, or we go from hot to cold. You immediately want to urinate because it's going to adjust the temperature in your body. It's going to create that sense of harmony. And so immediately they need to release that out. And then you see, oh, okay, well, no wonder my cortisol levels are shot up when I'm in a consistent state of anxiety or fear or in a survival situation. My kidney responds to this. My adrenal glands sit right on top of my kidneys, those fight and flight. There is a big part that is related to the organs, and then the nervous system and the other system, which is called fascia. And that's a web that is around the whole body. And it gets really triggered. And not a lot of people talk about what that means when I'm in a consistent position or after operation or after, having done any injury. And I haven't worked on my nervous system, rehabilitating it again and opening the whole system. When we have surgery, when someone goes through surgery, for example, or through an injury and they go to a physiotherapist, what happens is the physiotherapist will just work on that place. Most of them. I mean, some of them, let's say. But the idea is fascia is the whole body. If one part gets hit, everyone gets hit. And if I'm going to work on one part, I need to address the rest. And it doesn't have to be in the same intensity. I just have to bring in some of that somewhere. And so it does become quite an integrated state, that unity of the mind, the body, the spirit. It really is. This is the work to bring them in a place of unity. And you cannot bring that part of unity if you're just really focused on one aspect of it. Whereas my thinking heads say, I am so, we're such masters, like you said, with our thinking mind. We can really, master is not in the controlling part, but in the fantasy part. How you can really dramatize a situation, how you can really fantasize or romanticize about something. And then when it comes to a real world, being in the present moment, you're either not there because you're in that fantasy, or it's so disappointing because your whole nervous system has already responded to the idea in your head of what this could have been like. So I have been in this, I'm in this relationship and I'm struggling so much with this person because they're not fulfilling that idea that I have in my head about how my life should look like with them. And I'm just struggling and struggling and struggling. And I'm not sure why I'm struggling. So, every day he comes in and he brings me chocolate and I go like, khalas, yani, I'm done. Stop getting me all of this chocolate every single day, chocolate, chocolate, chocolate. And then tomorrow he stops getting me chocolate and I'm like, what's going on, man? You stop getting me chocolates. What's wrong with you?
Yeah. Never happy.
And it's not about that he stopped bringing the chocolate or it's just about that I don't know how to honor myself. I don't know how to come into my body and give it what it needs and not rely on someone outside of it to fulfill that part. And that will come with tuning into how does it feel in my body, because this is a very authentic, real expression.
Yeah, I'm thinking about what you're saying because I've done a lot of work and try different modalities. And I think I realized only recently, I've done them only mentally.
Exactly.
And, you know, in German new medicine, like I've struggled with acne also on and off for a long time. And it's a lot of it is that attack conflict, feeling attacked or attacking. And I'm like, do I really attack? You know, and I had a coach and I was working and whatever, and it was good work. But only recently I started doing this. It's these somatic exercises I was telling you about, right? That that work on releasing the hips, releasing the every day you do an exercise, a sequence. And I mean, I journal, but that specific exercise, she was like, journal, I don't know what, and it was very structured, which I like. And I really think I'm somewhat aware. That exercise, I don't know if it was the right time, I realized, whoa, I really attack myself a lot. Like even on the most trivial things, the first person I will go to is myself to attack. And I was like, no wonder, you know, like that was, and you know, for someone, who, again, I've been doing for a long time, the signs were there. I just wasn't ready to look here.
Exactly.
And that's why I was like, wow, this work is the only work, really, I think. But it is fucking hard. Like for me, I will pay someone to do it for me.
Yeah.
But I know that the only person who can do it is me. And but it's hard. It's just so easy to wanna get out of the body and find the answer outside and just someone save me. And it's like, no, I got you.
Yeah.
Well, it's so
hard.
trained. Like we're so trained to do that. The minute as little kids we start to move away from that just acceptance of our reality and we start to be asked to manufacture stories and reasons, right? So we're developing language. It's so reinforced and so rewarded to live in your head in our world, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, you ask a little kid, you know, what's wrong? You know, why are you crying? And they'll go, 'cause, you know, it's a good answer.
Yeah.
But, you know, then as we go on, you know, that's not a good enough answer. So the child will adapt. And by the time we're adults, you know, I often ask people this, you know, what are we? Are we thinking beings who feel or are we feeling beings who think?
How interesting.
And a lot of people will say we're thinking beings who feel. And they'll be sure that's right, especially if I'm at a corporate setting, right? They'll say, well, think about birth.
Yeah.
We're born feeling, we're born sensate, we're born conscious, but we're not born thinking. We don't think until we get language. So we're feeling beings that think in a world set up as if we're thinking beings who feel. And it doesn't work. It's not working for us. Well, like our mental health, our health, like it's not working. So coming back to this primacy and dealing with the nervous system that has I think it's a 5-to-1 ratio, 5 times more likely to spot a threat than an opportunity, just because evolution, right? So how do you own that and love that and work with that? And that's what you're helping people to do.
And the biggest thing is to instill that idea of curiosity and wonder. And when you do that, something within your system just opens up to respond to that state of discovery. If you are a child and you just saw something new, everything is open. You want to put it in your mouth. You want to hear the sound. You know, you want to play with it. Your eyes are just, your whole body starts to get so excited. Your eyes are open and, you know, you're really full of wonder. And that's a really important thing that you have brought up, because in sessions, sometimes people would come in and they're like, oh, I'm so happy I'm on the table. I'm just going to sleep. And I go like, that's not going to happen.
Like massage. Okay, I'm going to lie down now. And then I'm like, oh, okay. And this is serious.
Yeah. And another thing is that you're also asked for a lot of the times to stay awake because your body needs to remember the difference. And that goes back to recall. And that's something that we have to train ourselves again into, because we don't do this often, to recall and remember. And this is what the nervous system learns from memory. It collects information and then it stores that information as memory. And then from there, it acts in coming periods, right? And so it is really reconditioning your system when you come and work on someone and you're working on the leg and you're doing all of this work. And prior to that, you just say, "How are you feeling?" And they start to analyze as much as they can gently how they're feeling. "Oh, I feel like, this tightness here, this tightness there." And so they come into their body. And then you start doing the work into one side and say, "Okay, how does that feel now for you?" And they go like, "It feels good." What does good mean for you?
Mm.
You know, like it's fine. Like I feel good. Like, I'm fine. I'm like, try to find the words. Is it elongated, expanded, shorter, longer, thicker? Is there movement? Is there non-movement? What are you noticing about your body's expression in that state? And we get a learning from there. And once it does, it will remember it. So then it knows the difference between what tension feels like and what softness feels like. And softness here doesn't mean like, I'm that. It means that there is a place where I can sit gently with my system. And so we then, in the same, idea of it is also an emotional state. If I'm going, let's say I'm coming to a session and I'm running really late, and I start getting really, really anxious. And this is an experience, my body is feeling threat. If I'm going to run late. If I'm late, they're going to think that I am, unprofessional. And then if they think I'm unprofessional, then something in my belonging here is hindered, right?
Mm.
And so the possibilities of that become dire. I start creating this whole narrative and it just ups me up in my anxiety levels. And most people, what would happen with them is they just dismiss the bodily feeling that is accompanied with that. And they're just in that, tornado thought process. And in that space, you can just say, we all know how it feels. We all know how anxiety comes into your system, right? I can see it coming in. If I slow down, I will see it coming in. If I just acknowledge it and say, "Oh, anxiety or anxiousness. Oh, I feel that." How do you feel it in your body? What is the sensation? Is my heart racing? Am I getting sweaty? Am I getting tense? Is my arms clenching? Is my jaw clenching? How is my eyesight? How is my breath? Is it fast? Is it slow? And then I say, I acknowledge that. I just note it. I don't judge it. I don't try to push it or shift it or anything. I'm just acknowledging it. And then I can ask myself, okay, so what is real now? Where am I? I'm in the car. I'm driving in that way. There are trees here. There are trees there. Where's my breath? Oh, it's here. Okay. And then I start to ask myself, well, I wonder how things are going to turn out today. Let's see. Okay. I go about my day and then I recall. So how was it for you? Oh, it was okay. I survived. It was fine. They actually turned out to be late. They didn't notice. Oh, yeah, they didn't like it, but it was okay. And, you recall. And if you keep on recalling, somewhere, this is how your body actually, or your nervous system, becomes more agile. It starts to have a learning experience. You see people who are walking with shoes that are very soft. We're wearing sneakers and we're walking around in pillows all day. And then I ask you to go hiking, take your shoes off and hike. And you can't walk for a second with the ooze, ease, as all the time. Your feet are just so sensitive, it can't take anything. And someone else who's so used to it, they're just running next to you. And you think that, oh yeah, because their feet stopped feeling anything. Because they're so, rigid from being in this surrounding. No, actually, it's because their feet got really intelligent. Because it got to learn how to become agile and adapt to its surrounding. And so the way it's using the toes, the way they're using their heels, the way they're stepping on things is in a way that will not harm them, actually.
It's great.
Yeah.
So what you first do is when you sense that anxiety coming, because you kind of know it, you know what it looks like for you, you kind of name it in some way.
You can name it,
And
you
kind of
can feel it.
yeah, so it's, yes, see, again, I go in the brain, yeah, name it, like make it something, you know, it's, so you feel it, you're like, oh, what's this feeling, you get curious with it,
Yeah.
and then
And how is it feeling my body? And
how's
then
it feeling
you
my
just
body?
acknowledge that. I'm
Have an experience of it, right? You
Yeah.
let yourself start to have these experiences to build the repertoire of what you can feel. Like I used to do this thing where I'd carry a rock around. Remember? I would carry a little rock. Like
When
if
you were
I was-
younger, you
No,
mentioned.
when I was younger, but no, this is in my adult life.
Yeah.
So if I was struggling with anxiety, you know, if I was getting into a fight, because it is very activating
Yeah.
as a feeling, anxiety, and it keys into all that we've been taught about our functionality and how we should function and what we should have and what we shouldn't. And there's no such thing as unlearning. Like we've been exposed to things, and so they show up.
Yeah.
So what I would do to help ground me and keep me at the level of body and the level of let myself just have the experience is, first of all, started to use that language, like not I'm anxious,
Yeah.
but anxiety is here.
Mm.
So then it's a subject object type situation
Yeah.
going on, understanding, paying attention to the body, like you're saying. But then I would carry like a little pebble and I go, you know, today I'm carrying anxiety around.
How interesting.
And it just helped physicalize for me, keep me at the level of the body. And then you start to see that all feeling comes in these waves, that it's not this static state because it's not a concept. If you live in it at the level of concept, you're just creating. But if you let it come and go, you start to ride. You know, it's like John Kabat-Zinn says, you know, you can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf.
Exactly.
You know, so it's that. And he also said, made me think when you were saying that, we don't meditate, which is like, this is moving meditation, really. We don't meditate to feel better. We do it to get better at feeling.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that creation of sense of balance.
Yeah, that intelligence you
Yes,
said,
exactly.
which we can do. I think of it like a dance, you know, we can get into that dance with these different things. But just like we have, you know, there's a term in psychology, alexithymia, where you struggle to put words on emotions.
Yeah.
There's kind of a body alexithymia that you're working with people, like you said before, like, how do you feel good? Well, what is good? Can we broaden the vocab?
Yeah.
Because we know from alexithymia around emotions that when people develop a bigger vocab for all the emotional possibilities, it gives a lot of confidence, it gives a lot of grounding, it gives a lot of ability, it enhances the ability
Yeah.
to feel. So you must be seeing that with the body too. When someone can lie on your table and go, this lengthening there, tightening there, that feels, you know, rounded now, and this feels deepened, and that's like we're getting into like a full palette, like you were
Exactly.
saying.
And the good thing is, or, you know, the most, it's funny I'm saying the good thing. The interesting thing is that not one is better than the other.
Yeah.
So if I'm feeling after both had been worked on, one is shorter and one is longer, it doesn't mean that the longer is better than the shorter. It's just that this is what it is for me right now.
And that goes to that dichotomous, that split, that Cartesian mind-body split.
Yeah.
Is we think in dichotomies: good, bad, sick, well, happy, sad,
Positive, negative.
positive, negative, night, day. Like, and that's not that helpful when you're working with an actual human life.
Exactly. When you're talking about
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
And, you know, it even comes back even to pain. Because if I'm feeling pain, immediately I think this is a bad thing. I need it to get over with right now.
Yeah.
But pain is your body talking to you, trying to give you some information.
Yeah.
And you just need to go and say, oh, hey, yeah, okay, I'm hearing you. How can I help you? What do you need from me? We are living in a life that is so dynamic from a mental state, but we're now even more pausing into that part of the body. We're sitting more. You know, we're not really moving our bodies in that best way. We're on very, very comfortable chairs, and you know, we have these stops in the way our structure is, and it's going to start to speak. It needs to have a different experience. And so when something is inflamed, or when there is a retention, or where there's a constipation, or where there's any pain, it's not about that I fear it and try to just take the medicine because I don't want to feel it. It's about how can we have a relationship and listen in a way where we can have a conversation. And I give you things. I give you some herbs, I give you some this, some of that. And it becomes a play, it becomes a dance. And we're just talking together. Like, is that happy? Is that helping you? Maybe not this one, but maybe that one. Okay, let me see. And so everything then becomes an experience. Nothing is just, you know, bad or good. It's just, oh, I wonder how it's going to be if I try this. I wonder if it's going to be that.
Huge implications if someone can do that, if they can start to embrace that, like for mental, emotional, relational health, like, and really taking back, I guess, power over our health from, the outsourcing we do of that, like you were saying before. Just tell me, like, and we look at doctors, not that, I mean, doctors are great, but we give away our power.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the problem. Work with them,
exactly,
but don't give away that power. And what you're describing that.
Yes. So they facilitate,
really well.
They don't heal you, they don't cure you. They can help, shed some light. They can facilitate, they can guide, they can assist, they can help unlock even.
Yeah.
But they're not going to cure you, they're not going to heal you. That's your job.
Yeah, it's that trust back with the body, right? That healthy relationship.
Yes.
Wow, this has been so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. How can what's your focus? How can people find you? How can they what have you got coming up? What do you
So I mean, I have these sessions done in Kiani Center
here in Dubai?
here in Dubai, and also at the Free Spirit Collective, we have these workshops that are done every now and again, and in Egypt, of course. Hopefully soon there's going to be, some online platforms that are going to be accessible for people where they can come and get this information online. But it's good to come and experience I felt sense to the work.
Amazing. We'll put links to that in the show notes of this episode. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, just something for people to take away, because I think this is an important one, is like you were saying, when you're experiencing an emotion or pain or like anxiety, something that you experience often, a person experiences often, get curious with it. Get curious with how it feels in the body, right? Like I think, something for them to start maybe working on their own a little bit.
The first thing that I would say, because this is a whole world of possibilities.
Yeah.
The first thing I would say is just come to your breath. Take a deep breath. Understand that this is a learning process. And you can bring in a sense of even visualizing that you're just slowing down a little bit. Breathe. And then from there are all the different types of modalities that can come in.
Yeah.
But this is your savior. To breathe, to really, really, really integrate a quality breath. It's not just, take a long deep breath and a full exhale. You're collecting life, you're collecting life force. And when you're exhaling, you're not throwing it out. When you're exhaling, you're just really deepening it into the rest of your body. So there is a relationship with the breath that is deep in your system. Drink some water. These are two accessible tools that we have that we lack because we're in a state of hysteria or imbalance, and they can just immediately balance us until we find a medium to go to. It being this bodywork, it being with someone else, it being whatever it is, somatic. And the last thing is actually activating the sensory system. So the sensory system is just a direct link into our nervous system. So just use them. Taste, sight, feeling, touch, sound. I can listen to music. I can look at colors. I can, stroke clothes and textures. These are accessible things that can regulate the nervous system just simply. And then you do the work.
It's really powerful.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Thank
Ahdab.
you.
Oh,
This was great. Thank you so much.
So
I'm so
great.
excited. I'm so
And-
excited.